The snowstorm had hit with an unimaginable force, turning the peaceful neighborhood into a desolate landscape of white. The entire area was covered in a thick blanket of snow, but little did anyone know that this picturesque scene would soon transform into a nightmare of epic proportions for one unlucky family. In the heart of this snow-covered wasteland stood a two-story house owned by Kelly Wood, an 18-year-old teenager who possessed a keen sense of adventure and a love for upcycling. Kelly was a smart and cautious young man, but sometimes he was a tad lazy and untidy. He lived with his father, William Woods. William, too, had his peculiarities. He was stable and cautious, yet often rude and a bit untidy. Despite their quirks, their lives had been somewhat ordinary until fate intervened. As the snowstorm raged on, the house began to succumb to the relentless pressure of the snow. The once sturdy roof groaned and creaked under the weight, making unsettling cracking sounds that echoed throughout the house. Kelly and William, huddled together in fear, watched as the snow seeped through the cracks in the ceiling, slowly invading their sanctuary. Each drop of cold water that dripped onto the floor felt like an icy finger tracing their spines, chilling them to their very core. Their phones, their only connection to the outside world, seemed to have abandoned them. With no signal and the Wi-Fi down, they were left alone, cut off from the rest of civilization. Panic washed over them as they realized their only means of escape, the doors and windows, were jammed shut, firmly sealed by the relentless onslaught of snow. With each passing hour, the crackling noises magnified, building into a crescendo of impending doom. The house seemed to strain under the weight of the snow, as if it were a living entity slowly suffocating them. It became clear to Kelly and William that it was only a matter of time before their once cozy shelter would become their final resting place. William, determined to protect his son from the terror that threatened their existence, hid his fear behind a mask of false bravado. He knew that showing any signs of weakness would only compound their terror. Yet, deep down, he couldn't shake the sinking feeling that their fate had already been sealed. Days turned into nights, and the storm finally passed, leaving behind an eerie silence in its wake. But the relief of the storm's departure was short-lived. While the howling winds subsided, the reality set in that they were still trapped, their hopes of escape crushed like the weight of the snow bearing down upon them. With the outside world blissfully ignorant of their plight, Kelly and William frantically searched for solutions within the confining walls of their prison. Their sweaty palms gripped the doorknobs, desperately trying to wriggle them loose, but to no avail. The windows provided no solace either, steadfastly refusing to budge despite their best efforts. The house seemed to mock their every desperate attempt at freedom. The once vibrant and lively home had transformed into a bleak tomb, a symbol of their entrapment and impending doom. Their supplies dwindled, adding to their despair, as they faced the terrifying prospect of starving to death within the very walls they once called home. The real horror lies not in the storm itself, but in the knowledge that their cries for help may forever go unanswered.